Good morning and welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino, and boy do we have an active weather pattern to talk about this morning. This is the latest surface map, and you can notice there's a lot of low pressures around the Mid-Atlantic. There's a low pressure center around the eastern Great Lakes, just pretty much to the north of Cleveland. There's another area of low pressure around North Carolina, and a third one off of the Mid-Atlantic coast. And then we have our high pressure center over northern New England. Now, what's happening here is we're starting to get a transfer of energy towards the coast, and I'll show that in the water vapor satellite picture exactly what's happening. But what's happening is that we're starting to see a transition towards the coast as our coastal storm starts to develop. On the latest radar, we could see that the initial primary low, which is over western Pennsylvania, is driving an area of rainfall to the east. Now, what's going to happen is that this rainfall that's over Pennsylvania is going to start to collapse and weaken because the best energy and the best forcing is going to be redirected towards Virginia and Delaware initially. And as a result, the heavier rain that's currently over eastern Virginia is going to continue to consolidate, grow, and expand, and the energy is going to be transferred towards the immediate coast. We can see this a lot better on the water vapor satellite picture. And so here's the water vapor, and this is why I love using this satellite picture, because we can really see the mechanisms driving this entire storm here. Notice there's kind of a curlicue around northern Ohio. That's our upper level disturbance that is starting to intensify into a strong upper level low. Once it becomes a strong upper level low, our surface low that is starting to develop around North Carolina and eventually transfer towards the Delaware coast will basically bomb out, most likely to the southeast of Long Island, and then really get its act together over New England. Now notice all the blues and greens that are on the satellite picture here. Now this is a representation of lifting. What we'll see through the afternoon is that these blues and greens will start to fall apart over western New York and reorganize over Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. By this afternoon, moderate to heavy rain will start to develop over southern New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania. And then as the low pressure center starts to get its act together, we'll see the rain shield expand and winds also pick up. So as we head back to the surface map, what we'll see is that these low pressure centers, all four of them, are going to combine into one major low pressure center off the Delaware coast by this afternoon. As the afternoon and the evening progresses, the low pressure center will intensify to the southeast of Cape May, and then as the storm moves up just to the southeast of Long Island this evening into the overnight hours, moderate to heavy rain will spread throughout the entire region, and basically we can also look for winds increasing from the northeast anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour a little bit away from the coast, 15 to 30 miles per hour over along the immediate coast and over the coastal waters. Watch out for wind gusts. These winds are going to be picking up because that high pressure center over Maine is going to be slow to give way. This is a textbook influence of a negative NAO pattern. The surface high pressure center, which in the winter, by the way, would force cold air down the coast, also increases the pressure gradient, which leads to strong winds. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well overnight tonight. Now the good news is that this low pressure center is going to move very quickly. And the reason why is that typical La Nina pattern. You see that low pressure center over Canada? That low pressure center around Western Ontario is going to force this storm to the east and really kick it out fast. So tonight, heavy rain. Majority of the rain is going to be over by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. The morning rush hour tomorrow is going to be a little bit tricky, especially over the New York City metropolitan area and parts of Connecticut. But for the most part, as you head south, the rain will rapidly taper off and scattered showers can be expected by mid-morning tomorrow. And by tomorrow afternoon, the low pressure center is up in New England. Showers will linger over Connecticut, but the rest of the region will dry out. And for those going to the Phillies game tomorrow evening, yeah, it'll be windy, winds from the northwest anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, but it should be dry. As for the rest of the weekend, high pressure that is currently over the plains will build into the northern mid-Atlantic, producing tranquil yet cool conditions for the entire northern mid-Atlantic. Next week is going to be a very interesting week because next week we have our first real cool shot of strong polar air. What does that mean? Well, You're going to need more sweatshirts and t-shirts when you go to your baseball games and football games coming on for next week. Now I'll have live coverage of this developing nor'easter, most likely by about 5 p.m. this afternoon and continuing on through the evening hours. This is NYNJPA weather. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day and stay safe out there this evening.